good morning or good afternoon, all depending on what time you are watching this live. I am here this morning because this has been on my mind for weeks to continue to speak about Micah. No one is here right now, but my whole point of I am very comfortable with going live, so my whole point is to speak about Micah. I was supposed to have discussed this a couple of weeks ago, but I got stuck on Mike. This is coming from the book of Judges, and specifically chapter 17. And I know I needed at the time to speak about Micah's deception. He was totally deceived. But I went back, and because I wanted to, know how did he set his mind to truly think that he was, a part of this priesthood because he had this Levite, in his house. And it was like a part of his mind. He just knew that he was, this priest, and he made this, shrine, meaning, shrine has, two different definitions. It can mean, a location, where you actually worship, or it can mean, a certain, image, like those carved image that you worship in. For Micah, it's both, because he actually made a shrine in his house. But however, I went back to the book of Numbers, to Numbers specifically 3 and 8, to really get a full understanding again of the Levites, because God has set the Levites, he had set the Levites specifically for himself. And he said that these Levites will be specifically for me. And this is why the tribe of the particular Levites, the priesthood of the Levites, did not get land, because God said that their portion is me. So like the other 12 tribes of the Israelites, they got all allotted land. But the priesthood of the Levitical priesthood, that God was their portion. And this is what he said to them. So I'm gonna start reading chapter 17 and I'm reading the Message Bible. So this is the book of Judges. I'm reading the Message Bible. And specifically, I'm speaking of Micah and his mother, and what they called it is religious apostasy. And what apostasy, actually means is turning against God. And it's not just turning against God, it's those who, denounced it when you were once, believing in God, but then you didn't. But let me give you the actual, definition. So it says apostasy, which is APOSTASY. It means turning against God, as evidenced by abandonment and repudiation of former beliefs. The term generally refers to a deliberate renouncing of the faith by a once sincere believer, rather than a state of ignorance or mistaken knowledge. So apostasy meaning, hello, good morning. So apostasy is meaning, those who, you once were serving Christ, but then you didn't. In a later video, I'm going to speak more about apostasy, because there is a lot of that in the Bible. And when you go into the New Testament, you'll see a lot of individuals, turning away from Christ, which if you go and read the book of Matthew chapter 24, it talks about when the tribulation and persecution actually comes to the earth, which if we're in it now. A lot of people are going to walk away from Christ. And this is why you have a lot of people, guess what, turn into witchcraft, because they are, from their hurt, from their pain, from them, not wanting to wait for God. And when we went in chapter 17 too, and I'm just going to read just a little bit of chapter 17, because I don't want to go too far, because when you go into chapter 18 begins to talk about the Danite tribe, right? The tribe of Dan. And what they did was they were looking for land because they didn't get allotted a land yet. So what they did was they moved ahead of God. They wasn't waiting on God to give them, what they wanted. So they moved ahead. And I said that because this is, I just, for weeks, I just thought maybe, okay, I studied on it some more. Let me just go ahead. But no, God, this every morning I get up, I keep having the book of Judges on my mind, specifically chapter 17. And that's because of the deception. Micah was totally deceived. Okay, he was deceiving himself. And the way I see it is that it first started off with his mom, because his mom wanted to. And okay, let's go back a little bit. Judges is the time where there was no king. Okay, the Israelites had no king. God was sending them judges, okay, to judge them. But just because there was no physical king, the king actually was who? Let's see some of our Bible scholars answer that question. There was no physical king, but who was the actual king? For anybody who know. All right, no answer. So the actual king was God. God is still king today. Okay, and this is another reason why I wanted to share this. I don't know what the crap that 6-7 mean. That's something I see them kids saying. But anyway, let me not get distracted. So okay, where was I at? So at that time they didn't have any physical kings, but we all know that the king is God. No matter what goes on this earth, no matter the physical government that we have here, the government is the kingdom of heaven. Everything that is ran and showed here on this earth is an image of what's in heaven. So the king is Jesus. The kingdom, the government is the kingdom of heaven. Okay, but I'm going to start reading Judges 17. Okay, and this is from the Message Bible. So it says, there was a man from the hill country of Ephraim named Micah. He said to his mother, remember that 1,100 pieces of silver that were taken from you? I overheard you when you pronounced your curse. Well, I have the money. I stole it, but now I've brought it back to you. His mother said, God bless you, my son. As he returned the 1,100 silver pieces to his mother, she said, I had totally consecrated this money to God for my son to make a statue, a cast god. Then she took 200 pieces of the silver and gave it to a sculptor, and he cast them into the form of a god. This man, Micah, had a private chapel. He had made an ephod and some teraphim idols and had ordained one of his sons to be his priest. In those days, there was no king in Israel. People did whatever they felt like doing. Meanwhile, there was a young man from Bethlehem in Judah, and from a family of Judah. He was a Levite, but was a stranger there. He left that town, Bethlehem in Judah, seeking his fortune. He got as far as the hill country of Ephraim and showed up at Micah's house. Micah asked him, so where are you from? He said, I'm a Levite from Bethlehem in Judah. I'm on the road looking for a place to settle down. Micah said, stay here with me. Be my father and priest. I'll pay you 10 pieces of silver a year, whatever clothes you need, and your meals. The Levite agreed and moved in with Micah. The young man fit right in and became one of the family. Micah appointed the young Levite as his priest. This all took place in Micah's home. Micah said, now I know that God will make things go well for me. why I've got a Levite for a priest. See, that's the key thing. That last thing that he said would show his deception. He said, Micah said, now I know that God will make things go well for me. Why? I've got a Levite for a priest. This shows you his deception. Now I'm gonna break things down a little bit more. Okay. So let's go back. And this is how I see it. The deception, first of all, started with his mom. And if you know anything about the history of what was going on, God told them that they are not to serve, make no images or no carved gods, right? You're not supposed to have that. So first of all, he stole from his mother. That's no. First of all, you shouldn't be stealing. As a Levite, you should not supposed to be stealing, but then he stole from his mother. It doesn't even say why, but in my mind, I got so many questions when I read, like, why did you steal this from your mother? Like, why you ain't steal it from somebody else? Don't know, but he stole it from his mother. So the only reason he returned the money and told his mother that he stole it was because he heard his mother cursing the person who stole the money. But this is how, and that's funny because it's like, whoo, she's sending a curse. Let me get his back. Okay. So, now remind you, because God throughout the book of Judges, he just kept saying there was no king in the land. So he's stressing that for a reason, because they had no physical king. These people didn't know how to function under God's rules that he already gave them without there being a king. Isn't this the same for today? We don't need a priest, a pastor, any of that to rule us. We have this word. This word right here is what governs us. Okay, so let me get back to the story. So he was only giving it. He had only told her that he took it because he heard the curse that she was saying. And I don't know, it was a vow curse. She was probably like, kill him, destroy him. I don't know, because he was like, hey, that curse she was, talking about from whoever stole it. It was me. I stole it here. But what she said was, what she say? God bless you, my son. And what it says is that is how, with her saying, God bless you, my son, that was her way of trying to reverse the curse that she had already put out there, right? But we're going to go back to the deception. The deception was already there because the mom was deceived. Because first of all, you are making a carved image. She got the money so that she can give to, someone to make this carved image for her son. And not just someone, it was, what did they call it? I want to say, not a blacksmith, because the blacksmiths, they did like swords and, they made daggers and stuff like that. But they called them, a sculptor. That's what they called him, a sculptor, so that she can make this carved image. Why are you trying to make an image for your son and you already know the God that brought you up out of Egypt? You already know that God, the God that has, just saved you all throughout the wilderness, fed you, clothed you, like everything. You know your God. So why are you trying to set up an image in the place of your God as if he's not real, and he's real? So this is where the apostasy comes from. They knew God, but then was turning away from him. Okay, and this is where God does get sick and tired of them, because as you read it, he came to a point where it's like, look, I didn't this is in the book of Samuel, where he told them they wanted a king, and so he told Samuel, okay, well, you know what, I done all of this for them, and they just keep on turning their back on me. They just keep abandoning me. Go ahead and give them the king. But I want you to explain to them what a king does and how this king oppresses them and their people, how they're going to have to pay taxes for the land. They're going to have to, their children are going to have to work and all that. And see, and this is where the rest comes from. And I know I'm kind of going, back and forth, because if you go back to the book of Genesis, this is why God has the Sabbath, for us to rest. We weren't supposed to be entering into all this work. And it says it when you go to read the book of Samuel. He said, okay, tell them how that king is going to rule them. Tell them what they're going to get. But I'm gonna let them have it. Since they want it, they keep turning away from me. I'm gonna let them have it. And then what he said was, and then you're gonna come crying out to me. I already know what's gonna happen because I'm trying to tell you and warn you. I've been trying to protect you, but you keep walking away from me. This is still today. People want to keep following, this witchcraft, and it's crazy because only thing you're doing is trying to bring oppression on somebody else. How is that bringing you happiness and joy and peace and light? No, you're sitting in darkness. You're deceived. And this is what Satan's whole plan is to deceive your mind, to make you think all this stuff that you're doing against someone else is something good. It's not. You're walking in deception. You're walking in darkness and do not even know it. But you don't know it until you experience the light of Jesus Christ. And when you start to read this word, guess what? Some light will come. But if you're serving Satan, guess what? You're going to have a hard time. It's going to be a fight. But if you truly want to break free and you want to see something new for your life, guess what? You keep pushing forward. God will protect you. He will save you. Okay, so let's get back to Micah and his mom and the deception. Okay, his mom was trying to, young man, I'm doing a video. Sorry, son getting loud back in there. He having fun. Okay, so his mom was first deceived. And this is how another part too, where how generations of sin continue on. The mom was deceived. She was trying to make an idol, knowing she knew who God was. Okay, so let's go on and break down this some more. Okay, so it says, this is what the mom said. I had totally consecrated this money to God for my son to make a statue, a cast god. Then she took 200 pieces of the silver and gave it to a sculptor, and he cast them into the form of a god. And I think Micah took this too far to know, and reason why I say he took it too far, because to know that his mom went to a sculptor, gave this sculptor 1,100 silver shekels, right? To make this sculpture. He then took and built a shrine, in his house, and then took a Levite into his house. First of all, he made one of his sons a priest, and then found the Levite. He just knowing, this is God talking to me. And see how things can happen? And we can even walk our own selves into deception and try to make it seem like it's God. No, you read the word so that you can know what's right and what's wrong. Okay. And for them to say for this particular chapter right here, 17, that it was apostasy. Yes, it was, because they knew who God was. And I'm out here speaking to, some of my Christian sisters and brothers who may have walked away, right? Who may have walked away because, whatever situation you have been through, maybe you have been, molested. Maybe you have been hurt by your parents. That may have been physical, verbal, sexual abuse, whatever the case may be. Maybe you have gotten beat up or talked about a lot when you were a kid, maybe even an adult. That's not a cause for you to walk away from God, because God does not change. Okay. And that's no excuse for you to walk in deception, because you have the word of God to tell you the truth. As Jesus says, he is the way, the truth, and the life, which means to me, the way I look at it, he is a map. Okay. He is the map to God. He said, no one can come to the Father except through me. Don't turn away from him. No matter how hard it gets, don't turn away from God, because your soul is important. Okay, you have eternal heaven and you have eternal hell. Where do you want to rest? Heaven or hell? I definitely, under no circumstances, do not want to go to hell. Under no circumstances. So I don't care how hard it gets on this earth. I'm going to keep pushing towards the high calling of Jesus Christ. And that's what I'm speaking to you, my sisters and brothers. Keep going towards Jesus Christ, no matter how hard it gets. It's not easy. Nobody said that it was going to be easy, following Jesus. And for those who have said it was easy, I'm sorry that they told you that, because it's not an easy walk. And there was a saying that I heard years ago by Star Jones, and in her book. I love this book that she had wrote. And this is her name, Star Jones. And I think that's the only book that she wrote that I know of. But anyhow, look it up. And what she said was, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. That's the truth. If you don't stand on the word of God, you will fall for anything. There's a scripture in the New Testament where it talks about, the different foundations, right? And and how we can allow the world to come in and snatch what God, the seeds that God has placed in it, because our foundation is not strong, and that foundation is the word of God. It is Jesus Christ. And when you stand on that foundation, guess what? You're gonna be able to stand planted. Yes, the enemy will come with his tactics and his tool, but guess what? It won't knock you down. It can't knock you down. Jesus already has the power over Satan. Okay, you have the victory. You have to know it, that you have the victory. Okay, so let me go on, because I went on to a little bit more, but that is okay. I am okay with it. Okay, so if you just sit and listen, you'll get the point. Okay. Um, okay, so this is what Micah did. The last thing I said was, I think Micah took it too far. His mother was trying to set up a shrine. He didn't already, told her that it was him who took it. You know what I'm saying? He, gave the money back or whatever, right? He said, I stole it. He brought it back to her. Then she tried to bless. What she did was reverse the curse by saying, bless you, son, or whatever. But then this is what he did. This is what Micah then did. Micah had a private chapel. Now, let's go back to what his name means. I don't think I shared that. His name, Micah, means who is like Yahweh. And goes into what I said. I think Micah took it too far from what his mother did, because now he's saying, almost like setting himself up like he is God. Because it says that, guess what? He made a private chapel. There's nothing wrong with having a prayer closet, okay? So let's not get that, I'm not going to, confuse that, because we're supposed to go, it says in the New Testament, to go into, our private closet, right? Close that door and pray. We shouldn't be all out in the open and trying to, have this elaborate prayer for everybody can see that, oh yeah, that's a praying brother. That's a praying sister. No, your relationship with God is between you and him. So this isn't what we're talking about. He's really actually setting it up like he is the high priest. This is why it says, a private chapel. So to go on, it says he made an ephod. If you know what the ephod is what God had told the Israelites to build, and it had like different colors, and it's supposed to represent, I think, the 12 tribes. Let me put my glasses on so I can, give you all the full understanding of it. So the ephod is what God had told the Israelites to make, and this was something holy. So it said he made an ephod and some teraphim idols, and the teraphim idols are these little small figurines. And I remember my mom had two little black figurines when I was young. I ain't gonna get into that right now, but they're small figurines that the people back in the day were, and still some people do it. They worship it now. They look at it like like it's a god. So let me read something. It says, okay, these were not the only Micah's aberrant shrine. Okay, wasn't the only, for he had an ephod. Okay, so his shrine, the shrine, which is the private chapel, was not only the only object of worship that they had. For the ephod was another one, another object that he was actually worshiping, like he was God. And then and then it says, for the priest is to wear the ephod, right? And then it says, and then he then installed one of his sons as priest to conduct worship in this shrine, right? And later Michael installed another priest. So all of these things was what he was using to put himself in a place of like the high priest. And as I shared with you all, that very last sentence he said shows how deceived he was within his own self, because what did he say? Let me go back and read it. He said, now I know that God will make things go well for me while I've got a Levite for a priest. See, it shows how deceived he was, because you have to go back. Go back. I want you all to go back and read the book of Numbers 3 and 8, and it'll tell you about the Levitical priesthood and how God set them aside for, him, and gave them specific instructions, because the Levitical priesthood was to actually, serve, to work in the tent of meeting, to handle everything that was, holy, and no one else can handle that but the Levitical priesthood. Right. And so this is how the deception was on. This how far gone that Micah's mind was. He truly was thinking, I am the high priest. He ordained one of his sons as priest. And then the last thing after that, as it says, he ordained one of his sons as priest. It goes on to say, in those days, there was no king in Israel. People did whatever they felt like doing. And as I shared before, this keep being stressed, because I truly believe, as I read and study this, that, the Torah was God taking them from baby stages to an adult. Now you are mature. I have given you the rules. I have given you the laws. I need you to walk it now. Okay. The same as now, he need us to walk in the faith and belief that he has given us. So my belief is that he didn't have any king, because I need y'all to continue to still know that even though you don't have a physical king, I am still the king. I am the Almighty, not this physical person. You are not to worship this physical person, but to worship me. This is the way I see it, the book of Judges. It's like he's trying to show them, you don't need a king. I've showed you who your king is. I've showed you who I am. Serve me, not no other gods, because they can't help you. Every time you keep going to them, you get in trouble. And then who do you run back to? Me, the God I am, that you know is going to get you out of this oppression, that you know is going to get you out away from these people who continue to keep trying to abuse you, kill you, destroy you. But they can't, because they can't unless God says so. Okay, so let's go on a little bit further. So it says, meanwhile, there was a young man from Bethlehem in Judah, and from a family of Judah. Judah is still one of the 12 tribes of the Levites. Okay, the Israelites. So it says he was a Levite, but was a stranger there. Now, this is the interesting thing, because this particular Levite is Jonathan. He is the grandson of Moses. This is the interesting thing about this. And I think it's just like, really, when I really dived into the history of, really of what was actually happening here, and who was this, Levite, and to find out that it was, the grandson of Moses. It's like, what? How did he turn up there? Where did he come from? Really. But it said, okay, a young Bethlehem Levite, which was Moses' grandson, Jonathan, son of Gershom, moved to the hill country of Ephraim, where he was employed by Micah to be his father. And father meaning here is not meaning his actual father. That's showing honor. Okay. So I was reading to you from a commentary. So I kind of went a little bit too far with that. But the stranger was Jonathan, who was Moses' grandson, right? And he was actually trying to find a place to stay. But I think what all of them went wrong is because they was not praying to God. They was not going to God and asking him anything, because if they would have, God would have showed them what to do. So it says, okay, so this Levite, which is, once again, this is Jonathan, Moses' grandson. It says he left that town Bethlehem in Judah seeking his fortune. He's seeking his fortune, but he know that he got to seek God for God to tell him where to go and what to do. He got as far as the hill country of Ephraim and showed up at Micah's house. Just so happened to show up at Micah's house. So Micah asked him, so where are you from? He said, I'm a Levite from Bethlehem in Judah. I'm on the road looking for a place to settle down. He was looking for a place to settle down. And think about this. How many of us, was just seeking something, desired something, and then here that same thing we were seeking and desired came? Now, just because we are seeking and desiring something and something comes our way, does that necessarily mean that that's God? And I'm asking this question for a reason, because we have to be careful when we are desiring something and want something and things come our way. That doesn't say even for a job. We're searching for this particular job, and then here, or even a friend. Say we seeking a friend. We may be a little lonely or something. Or just one conversation. Don't even have to be lonely. Just one conversation and someone comes along. Just because that thing comes along, does that mean that that thing is actually for you? No, that does not mean that. Because the same as God send people, Satan sends people too. And in this situation with Micah, this is I don't so much say as that he was sent by Satan. No, because these are all Levites. But the deception in their mind, remember, because they kept saying there was no king, there was no king, there was no king. They had to know that you don't set up idols. You don't try to bring nobody in to replace me, but serve me, pray to me, continue to do the same things that I have taught you to do. So this is how we deceive our own selves and don't even realize it, because the first thing that comes, we hop on it. And this is what Micah did, because the Levite came, he just like, oh yeah, God sent him, just for me. He's for me. Yeah, be my priest. God ain't that's not the God that we serve. This is why we got to read and study for ourselves. So he was so deceived. Okay, I think I'm gonna go to Numbers 3 and 8 just for a second, because I want to read just maybe the first sentence, to get you to understand about the Levites and why he was just really thinking, God, sent him specifically for me, because the Levitical priesthood is amazing. Okay, so now I have went back to Numbers 8, and starting from verse 5, it says, God spoke to Moses, take the Levites from the midst of the people of Israel and purify them for doing God's work. Purify them. See, that's the key phrase. Purify them for doing God's work, for doing my work, God's saying. Okay. He said, this is the way you would do it. Okay. Sprinkle water of absolution on them, have them shave their entire bodies, have them scrub their clothes, and they will have purified themselves. God took them to a whole ritual. He set these people apart for himself. So this is the excitement that Micah was feeling when he saw the Levite. And then this Levite was Jonathan, Moses' grandson. Okay, so he definitely was feeling something like, oh yes, God is going to be with me. Things is going to change. Because first of all, Jonathan is like, why are you wondering? There's no reason why you, as a child of God, you should not be wondering. You should be talking to him and asking him, God, what is it that I need to do? Where do you want me? And even now, this is what we need to do when we're in situations and we don't know what to do. We need to pray and talk to God and ask him what to do. And if we don't hear nothing, be still. Wait. Waiting is so uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable, because we want things like right now, living in this natural life and knowing that we have everything that come to us so fast. Like right now, we can, any information, like people, I don't even know how many people, may go to the library now. I still go to the library because that's the era that I grew up in. I'm a 70s baby, so the library was where we had to go to do our book reports and study and get encyclopedias and all that other stuff. And so I still go to the library, but things are so fast that we don't want to wait. We want it like right now, and that's not the God that we serve. This is why he has rest for us. This is why the Sabbath is made for us to rest. You need that rest so that you can hear from God. You can know what your next direction is. But I just wanted to share that little bit Just the beginning part about how God told him, take the Levites from the midst of the people of Israel. And this is what they call the Levitical priesthood. And it started with Moses and his brother Aaron. Okay. They were the Levitical priesthood. Aaron was the high priest. So, and it says, and purify them for doing God's work. You will have to go and read a lot more of it, so you can see, how God actually set them aside. And I had to share that so that you can see the excitement in Micah's mind and how he just knew that this particular Levite was for him and that God was changing everything. And that was just so not so. So, okay. So now it says, okay, now Jonathan, who is a Levite, who, found him, Micah, took him in. Oh, another thing too. The Levites didn't have land of their own. And I think I shared that at the beginning because God said that I am your portion. To me, that is truly, truly a blessing. If God is your portion, he's wherever you go. That means wherever you go, he's going to provide for you. Whether that's land, home, cattle, stocks, bond, wherever that may be, you don't have to worry about anything. Yes, that's the other tribes, the 12 tribes got land allotted to them, but the priestlyhood didn't, because guess what? You have the Almighty who has the riches in his hand. He can give you anything on this earth. Remember how Satan, when Jesus went to go fast for 40 days, and how Satan tried to come to him and tell him, hey, you, what did he tell him? Somebody, I'll give you, I think he said, if you jump, I'll give you this, all of this land and stuff from this side to that side. And it's like, how you going to tell the Lord, the king of all of this, how you going to tell him you will give him this? But I said that just to get your point that God supplies everything. He created this stuff. I don't even know how we don't see it. Like, he supplies all our needs. Everything is his. The money that you have, the house that you have now, the car, it ain't yours. You think it's yours. It's God's. God allowed you to get that. But I'm gonna go on. I'm gonna finish because I'm just still in, the deception of Micah, how his mind was just, it was truly gone. Something else came to my mind too about how just because people are our family, especially mother, father, and because they may be serving something, a God, I don't know, maybe they doing Buddhism, maybe they, chanting, maybe they're into Hinduism, Islam. Does that mean that you have to go that way? Normally, though, in the culture of families, we usually do serve what our parents, serve. Speaking of gods, whether that's Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, whatever the case may be. But what I wanted to share is that there are a lot of people that, yes, family may have. I'm hearing, stories, many stories I've heard over families growing up in Muslim homes, but then they, the children then turn into, to the Bible, following Jesus Christ. And I think that is amazing. And that's because of God's power. His power still works even today. I don't care where you are, what part of the country you in, what culture or race you are. His power still works. And if he's calling you, I don't care. You can be, what's those, what you call them? A Satanist. God is going to pull you up out of that, because of his power, his grace, and his mercy. Okay, so it says, so Micah asked Jonathan, so where are you from? He said, I'm a Levite from Bethlehem in Judah. I'm on the road looking for a place to settle down. So Micah says, stay here with me, be my father. Father doesn't mean his actual father. Father means, a term of honor. It says, be my father and priest. It says, I'll pay you 10 pieces of silver a year, whatever clothes you need, and your meals. This is also too, when you think about it, Jonathan, this was a win, because it's like, what? You gonna pay me what a year? And clothes and feed me? He jumped on that. He like, oh yeah. This, I can do this. He was wrong too. How you gonna set yourself up? Because he is a Levite, but how you gonna set yourself up to be this man priest? Did God call you to be this man's priest? See, it's the deception. This was how many? Okay, chapter 17, verses 1 through 13. It's deception after deception. Well, deceit. They were deceiving themselves. Okay, so let's go on. And I hope whoever is listening to this, that you are actually hearing and seeing the deceit as I have saw, because for weeks have went by and I have not shared this, my view on this story, but I could not go any longer. I had to actually share it today. Or whatever. Actually, too, I just came off of a long fast. I went on a 21-day fast where there was, no food, just water. And it's just like I this is still on my mind, so I had to share this. So it said the Levite agreed and moved in with Micah. This is Jonathan. Jonathan moved in with Micah. The young man fit right in and became one of the family. Now, why do you think he fit right in? He fit right in because they were on the same wavelength. Their minds were pretty much on the same thing. Jonathan was looking for, it said a place to settle down. And guess what? Micah then already set himself up as like he was the high priest, had one of his sons to be a priest. He had a private chapel, in his home. He had a ephod that God had made for the Israelites, which really they used it for direction, like in the book of Samuel. Was it Saul? I think it was Saul, and they were fighting the Philistines, and Samuel realized that it was Saul realized that somebody had sinned because something was going wrong in the camp. So in order for him to find out who did what, he had said to God, like, I need you to show me through the Urim and the Thummim, which is on the ephod, right? Show me through that, who was wrong. Was it the army, or was it me, or, my son? And so I don't know whether, one of the things lit up, but he showed them through that, who was wrong. So yeah, I was sharing it because of the deceit of not just Micah, but Jonathan. Okay, so it's and saying, how they, he fit right in because they were on the same, wavelength. They were thinking pretty much, the same, even though they were looking for like two different things. They were in that same boat. They were in that same boat. You were, instead of taking God, as being the head of your life, going to him and praying to him and asking him where to go, they were doing things in their own way. Because once again, before we started talking about Jonathan, which was Moses' grandson, it says that in those days there was no king in Israel. People did whatever they felt like doing. He kept in the book of Judges, he keeps stressing that there's no king and people keep doing whatever they feel like doing. I think this is important even for today, because people keep turning to witchcraft. People keep turning to, worshiping, a man, or worshiping a woman instead of worshiping the God. Get the Bible, sit down, read it, pray, practice. If you can do everything else, you can give God that time and allow him to show you who he is, because I guarantee you, he will show you who he is. Okay, so let's go on. So it said he fit right in with the family. So it says Micah appointed the young Levite as his priest, This all took place in Micah's home. Isn't that the same of, okay, see, you know what? This is still, it makes me think about those people who are into, so much demonic stuff. They said, I remember meeting this one guy. I'm gonna tell this story. And he did, and this I was a teenager. And he had this one room in his house that was set up, I guess, for his worship, but he would never allow me to go into this room. Now I knew, black magic and stuff like that, or whatever. And I remember him telling me, that he was into it. But then, what I'm saying, when I started, really hearing people, talk about it. I mean, my mom had a friend who was from a female, who was from Africa, and she, told my mother about, the voodoo and, things like that. And I would just listen to the stories that she would, tell my mother. And it's just like, wow. But this guy would never let me go into this one particular room in his house, because now that I know, it was set up, like his shrine. Now, and this is another thing. See how, all this secrecy is what you will see with those people who are into witchcraft. They are, and not to say that we as believers, aren't secretive. You're supposed to be discreet. Let me say that. Be discreet. You ain't supposed to be, sharing all your business, but theirs is to another level. It's like, no, I don't want you to know anything about me, what I'm doing. That's a red flag right there. It's already letting you know, like, if you're that secretive, there is something that you are doing that is not right for humankind. Okay. And that's another thing. Witchcraft, it is here to hurt you. It ain't here to help you. They keep trying to, you have some of these people that say, oh, no, it's not all bad. It is bad. I am sorry, because it goes against the word of God. And once you enter into that, you're entering into a curse. And for you to even try to get out of it, there's a fight. This is how you know that it's not good. It's not to help you. It's going to eventually harm you. Your children, if you have children, it's going to affect your children. And then you may not see it now. And guess what? You may be even dead in God, and then your children have to fight that stuff off from what you have opened the door for. Okay, but that's not what I wanted to talk about, because it's so much that God then showed me, and I done went through dealing with people, witchcraft, and even men being warlocks. But this is not what God want me to talk about. He want me to specifically talk about the word, him, and who he is. Because yes, that stuff is real, but God is real. He is all powerful. He can destroy that darkness. Okay, this is why he said, live in light. The light destroyed darkness. Darkness can't live in the light. The darkness hate the light. This is why those who are into the witchcraft, they keep coming up against you. But I was talking about Micah's home, because it said all of this took place in Micah's home. It took place in his home. I mean, I'm trying to, the way I see it in my mind, I'm just picturing your home is a sacred, it truly is a sacred place. And this is the way that I see it. And I remember from when I had, excuse me, I didn't spit. Sorry. I remember when I read the story of Moses and a burning bush years ago, and how God had told him to take his shoes off. And that's what I've realized when we are followers of Christ and the Holy Spirit is living within us. Our bodies and temples is sacred. So this is a part where I begin to, now it's like, okay, well, when I walk into my home, I want to take my shoes off, because this is sacred ground. This is holy ground. This is a place where, I'm allowing God to rest within. So it's like when I come into my home, and I still do it. When I come into my home, I have me and my, child, or whoever enter in, take your shoes off. It's showing, respect to the God that I serve, because for me and my house, we serve God. We serve the Lord. So to me, this is this place that he has given me on this earth to, to run and take care of. Is also the place that I pray, where I read his word and I worship. It's a holy, sacred place. So take your homes seriously. But what did Micah do? Micah went a little bit too far, because his mother opened up that door talking about she was making these idols, for him. Why are you making an idol for your son? I just still can't get over that. And God, this is still for today. And I believe this is why God had this on my mind to talk about this, because for those of you, God. Why are you turning away from him? My sister, my brother, go back to him. I don't care what false stuff that you have been told. You got people to, talk about all Christianity is the white man God. Well, if you go back and really learn about what Christianity is, guess what? The Caucasians took the Bible. Okay, it was it was one of the African leaders who had actually, well, I ain't say take it, they, bribed him or deceived him, and he went and gave it to the Caucasians. Okay, this is not a white man's religion. Okay, so really study and stop taking stuff. Please stop just taking anything and running with it because it sounds good. It's feeding your spirit or your intellect, wherever you are right now, and really study for yourselves. The world has gotten so evil. I don't even know how you cannot see it. Right here today, it's right in front of you. Go and read the book of Matthew, or how it talks about the falling off of some of the believers. God is calling you all back to him. He is here with open arms. He said that he will go after the one. Stop serving the other gods. God is here for you. He's not a genie in a bottle, so he's not going to work immediately. There are some things that he will respond to right now, immediately. Shut it down. He will pull you back from stuff. You keep trying to go to stuff that he's telling you to stop, and he'll pull you back from it. He's real. Please stop serving other gods. He's calling you. I told you the next video I'm going to talk some more about apostasy and what it is, and give you some of the scriptures, because the New Testament, it shows a lot of people, of walking away, from Christ. And if we look at it, the Old Testament too, look at the Israelites or what they kept doing. This is God's special people. He placed them to say he chose the Israelites to be his people. He chose them. We don't choose him. He chose us. He calls us. Same as he did Abraham. He called Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He called them, and they followed. And generations, because of that, were blessed because of them. So think about the generation of your children that you have to be blessed. And not when you open up the door to all this dark, evil stuff, even hatred and anger, and, and we don't even realize all these spirits that is. Okay, have you ever been you go into an atmosphere, and the atmosphere begins to shift. You begin to feel anger. You begin to feel dislike for somebody. You begin to not want to help somebody. All of this stuff is from spirits. Spirits because you cannot see them with the natural eye, God has to give you this ability through the Holy Spirit for you to see this. And there's spirits that is just jumping into people and, doing all types of stuff. Oh God. It's only through the power of the Holy Spirit, through God. Okay, my whole point of bringing up being in atmospheres and you feeling this shift is because these are spirits. Spirits trying to take over you. Okay, first of all, they need a body. Okay, and Satan is working to and fro at this moment because he's trying to gather, so many people that he can to bring to his kingdom. And this is a part, because I see God like this. He just sitting back. He's not forcing anything because he knows who he is, but Satan is forcing it. Satan is forcing it. He's purposely doing things, causing things to happen. And some of us who is not walking with Christ will, who are not aware that there are spirits, within us, around us, causing us to do these things. And we need to get still and start to pray so that we can see what Satan is doing and overcoming that. But I see, God just sitting back saying, I know who I am. I know that I am the creator of all things. He created Satan. So all I have to do is just sit back and allow, my goodness and mercy to go out, and it's gonna draw the people. It's gonna bring the people. God knows this. But Satan, because he know how powerful God is, he got to force this stuff on you. Okay, he caused evil stuff to happen. I mean, just all types of stuff so that he can get you to say, oh yeah, God ain't real. He ain't gonna be there for you. Look at what he did in the Garden of Eden. Went to her talking about, oh, God ain't really tell you that. Yes, God did say that. And he is God. And he is real. And we have the victory already. But that's what Satan also don't want you to know, that you have the victory. All right, so let me go back to stay on track. For those who have deceived themselves, God is calling you. Come back to him. Stop serving other gods. He loves you. He cares for you. He's going to fight for you. But what he's not going to do, he can't make the choice for you. You have to make that choice. He gave us a free will. We are the only thing that he has created that's been created in his image. And he gave us free will. Everything else don't have no free will. But we as humans, we have that free will. So with that free will, I pray that you make the choice to serve him, to get to know him, to know in everyday situations, even if you're having terrible ones, that he's calling you to him. Because he can take that evil situation and turn it around and begin to bless you. What you look like was a dead situation, he can take that thing and turn it around once you place him as God in your life. Once you call upon him. Don't go do your own thing like Micah and his mama. They knew who God was and still turned away from him. So, I've been on here for almost an hour. I know I kind of just been talking because I needed to get this out, because every morning I keep waking up, keep thinking about the book of Micah and how he was so deceived. So the next time you all see me, even if it's like a week, from now, I will still be talking about Micah, but specifically about apostasy. And I will be giving, even more scriptures and some more, just backgrounds of, what it looks like to, once know God and then to walk away, to share some stories in the Bible where, the people, just kept walking away from God, and, and show how God, then was still there for them. So God bless you all. I hope you all had a wonderful Sabbath yesterday, and, I'll see you soon. Bye.